What's up everyone? Today we're going to be making a simple yet very elegant mini cake. I'm using a 4-inch 2-layer cake this time, but this technique can definitely be used for bigger cakes. We're going to make a couple of these feather fondant toppers. Here we have satin eyes fondant, so it's just white. We're going to be using Tylose powder to strengthen and also add elasticity, and also it'll make it dry faster. Just dip a little bit, might need a little bit more. I'm also going to be using cornstarch to powder my hands and also the surface around here. Using a rolling pin, I'm gonna flatten one out. And then here I have these pads for flowers. I don't have that veiner, so I'm just gonna create that little space. So basically that will serve as the middle part of our feather. So I'm just gonna hold these two together using my trusty rolling pin. We're just gonna smooth that over, making sure you're doing it in just one motion. We turn it around, flip it, flip it, there it is. So I'm going to be using this cutter. It's a leaf cutter from Wilton. Take that off. And I want this line to be a little bit more precise, so I'm going to use this tool to basically just flatten this part out to make this a little bit more noticeable. I'm using one of our pads. I'm going to roll out the sides because we want this side to be thin and that's too thick for that design. Just going to roll it out just on the edges in circular motion. Roll out the other side. Don't forget about the tip as well. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, because feathers are not really perfect. So I see that part, it's not perfectly shaped, that's okay. I think that makes it look more natural. And then now we're going to be using this tool create the details of the feathers. So just lightly, some a little bit heavier. And towards the end, you kind of want to go a little heavier in some parts, just so it looks a little bit more realistic. So there's that one side. We're gonna do the same with the other side. Now that we have that, we're gonna cut the edges, little triangles like that, to make it look a little bit more natural, because your feathers have these imperfections on their sides. But just be careful not to slice a hole in your pad, which I kind of did already. So you want to be careful with that. And now we're just adding just a tiny bit more details. Yeah. And then now we're gonna add some movement to it. So if you have an egg holder, an egg box, or some type of a holder like this with divots, this is going to be helpful to create motion in our feathers. So put that in random places. Since we used Tylose powder on the fondant, our fondant have dried out pretty quickly. I let mine sit for maybe about 15 minutes, and now it's ready to be colored. I'm using gold edible dust to color my feathers, but you can use any other colors you would like. The effect that I was going for is I wanted the gold to be around the edges, so I'm brushing it on the edges first and gradually adding some more colors towards the inside of the feathers. And now the feathers are pretty much done. We're gonna cover up our cake with white buttercream. Spreading out the white buttercream, and I'm leaving the lip of frosting on the side. I'm just gonna clean up the side, and I'm gonna leave that lip of frosting at the top to incorporate it in our design. So here I'm gently scraping, making sure that I create that barrier at the top, just because I feel like it adds more height to the cake. And now we're sticking the feathers onto the cake, and the goal here is to basically create motion, make it seem like the feathers are pretty light and fluffy. Add a little bit of buttercream on the cake, and that should stick right away. I'm adding a little bit at the top as well to cover up those holes that the wires have made. And that's it, guys. This is such an easy DIY personal feather cake. I'll see you guys on the next video. Eat the cake. Subscribe.